well mentioned, now security has become very sophisticated. So you need to master the art of what? Intelligent gathering. It's not the days of bull force is way gone. Right. We are not in that particular era. This day is about intelligent gathering. So, and I want to tie this in with the visit of the Burkinabe president and then Abdoulaye Touare. And for the fact that he came to the inauguration of President Mahama, and then, you know, that issue also came up. He went to greet the president and congratulate the president, and then with a epistle. And then the other issue is that he's a cool leader in Burkina Faso, and then they have taken themselves from ECOWAS, the South region, the security, the interference, and all. So if you put all this together, and then Ghana, as where we are now, as a peaceful country, what is going to be the role of this national security? Are you just going to be interested in national security within your country, or you'll be also interested in that? So I think it's a huge responsibility on them. And I think, as President Mahama said, it's not going to be business as usual. And then if you look at, as I mentioned, the credentials, particularly with Kofi Boakye, I think we all know what he did. And then at a point in time, he was being considered as I think IGP, but I don't know what happened. But in terms of his credentials, I think he's well known within the security architecture. And I think that it's a good appointment. Right. Let's wait and see. As we always say, it's early days yet. Let's look at, wait and see their strategy, what they are going to do. Because even if you look at the internal conflict that we have, the president went to Boku to see how he can dialogue to bring peace. I think it is another assignment that the national security should be working on. And there are a lot of issues that I think national security need to tackle. For example, the issue of unemployment is a national security issue. So we shouldn't just look at the political angle of it, but we should also look at the social aspect of it. If people are hungry, it becomes a national security issue. And I think that it is a good strategy, and I'm sure very soon they'll give us their strategy and how they'll go about.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So,
all right, go ahead. One. I think the National Security Coordinator and the National Security Coordinator role, that is specified in statutes over the years. And in fact, over the years, that is what all successive governments have worked with. I think it is usually, I don't know, it is a creation of the MPP governance architecture to have a minister in charge. So if you look at the current ministry, it was created in 2021. And in 2021, while the president appointed National Security Minister Kandapa, there was also a National Security Coordinator. And that is where conversations about conflict of roles and functions, because what really does the National Security Minister have to do is to brief Cabinet on security matters. Again, the National Security Coordinator goes to Cabinet to brief them. So, what was the extent of it? So it is. I think before the elections, if you listen to the NDC manifesto, I think it was clearly outlined. If you go through the NDC manifesto on security and intelligence, they mentioned it clearly that ministry and the National Security Coordinator role are in conflict. You cannot have the two of them work together because it's the same duplicate function. And these also put pressure on the state in terms of resources. So the John Dramani Mahama administration in opposition were very clear that they were going to scrap that ministry. And I think that's why it was scrapped. So it is not that you are not for Ministry of National Security and yet you have a National Security Coordinator. No. They said the two positions are conflicting in terms of functions, and therefore you need only one. You don't need the two of them. And they decided to stick with the National Security Coordinator role and then scrap that of the ministry. And I think it is a very welcome decision.
Right. We have a few minutes to go. Maybe we can touch on this international story. I think there's a good news on the international front in line with the Israel-Palestinian war. Now, they have agreed to ceasefire. And I think that is, something very laudable after the 15 months of back and forth. Azuri,
a quick one. If they've agreed to ceasefire, I mean, this is not the first time. There has been stories that they've ceased fire, and then at the end of the day, they wake up, and then there's another bombing here and there. So I'm sure this time, they should be committed to actually ceasing fire. And then I want to know, for me, I want to just know the role of the international community in all this, as to whether the international community have actually committed to Gaza and then Israel ceasing fire in all this. But at the end of the day, innocent lives have been lost, and I think that the ceasefire, when they say ceasefire, we should mean it, and then they should actually commit to it. It shouldn't just be a mere signing of paper, but there should be commitment to it, so that at the end of the day, when there's peace in everywhere, there will be peace everywhere in the country. So I think. Right. Basically.
Well, just because you mentioned the number of people who are dead.
Okay.
Well, 46,000. I mean, according to the statistics, 46,000 Palestinians have died. I mean, not to talk about the Israelis as well, and about 18,000 of them are all children.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. Yes. Very, very dangerous. Your take on that?
Yeah. The statistics we're reading, very unfortunate. Sometimes I watch the news, the international news, with much trepidation. I mean, this nowhere should this happen. We understand the interest of both parties in this particular conflict, but I think that never should we, the world, sit and watch innocent children, innocent women, innocent civilians lose their lives across board because of issues that can be resolved through discussions. No, because what really has the conflict or the bombings and all other things, what really has it solved? Nothing. And so if you go into conflict, into war, and at the end of the day, you don't resolve anything, and then you have to come back to the discussion table, then what really is the essence of going to war in the first place? I think that the ceasefire is a good thing currently, because it's going to put, and I've heard a lot of people commending the president-elect Donald Trump, who has been very instrumental in achieving this.
Actually, Abel, there's been concerns about that. People are saying that, I mean, Trump is claiming that he was the one who led this. Biden is also.
I don't want to go
Biden
into that.
Is also
you know the controversies, but
yeah. So we don't really know. But I mean, from your facts, you can comment.
No, I mean,
that's why I said a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it means other people have. He. No, but you see, the reason why a lot of people are also pointing to that is because of his disposition when he was in opposition campaigning. He said that when he comes into power, or when he wins, the war in Israel will stop. The war in Gaza will stop. The Russia-Ukraine war will stop. And so sometimes some of those things gives you an impression of what is going to happen, because it is the position of the president that, or the government, the administration in the United States, in terms of foreign policy, how that hits the administration's position on certain matters, shape certain outcomes in the space, in the international space. So if the Biden administration position inure to the interest of one particular party, then one particular party was going to be emboldened to continue.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
But the new administration has shown that it has no interest in supporting any war. So that technically puts pressure on some of the interest parties in the war to then have a different outlook for the war. You get the point I'm making?
I get it.
So it might not be Trump directly interfering or doing anything,
but he played a role.
But his position, that the incoming administration's position on this matter is like this. So yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yes, so,
Abel, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our time is fast spent, and I want to say a special thank you to you and Azuri for joining me for the news review segment. We hope to come your way again tomorrow so that we can have some more conversations. But thank you. Up next is business news with Samuela.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Hello and welcome to the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. Coming up, 1D1F program criticized for lack of transparency in tax exemptions. And on the international scene, TikTok's fate hangs in the balance as Supreme Court weighs in. Also, Canada prepares for U.S. tariff threat amid internal divisions. I am Samuela Inchi. Let's settle in for the details. The One District, One Factory program, a cornerstone of Ghana's industrialization strategy, has come under scrutiny for its approach to tax exemptions. Some critics have argued that the initiative's lack of transparency in granting tax relief to certain businesses created an uneven playing field, undermining the fairness of the country's taxation system. At the heart of the criticism is the selective nature of the tax exemptions. Observers note that while some companies benefited significantly, others operating in similar industries and conditions were excluded, raising questions about equity and accountability. The Minister of Finance designate, Dr. Kesel Atoforsen, has been vocal about these concerns. During his vetting in Parliament, he called for reforms to ensure transparency and fairness. He suggested that any tax exemptions granted under the 1D1F initiative should be codified into law, allowing all eligible businesses to benefit equally.
Tax exemption is gradually becoming a major source of tax expenditure in our fiscal framework. Unfortunately, it's not properly targeted, and so you see a situation where we exempt huge volumes of our taxes to particular companies. At the same time, because we are exempting those taxes, we end up increasing these tax rates for so many other people to pay. I believe everyone else must be given the opportunity to pay taxes. My concern, so I'm sure it has to do with 1D1F. It is not transparent enough. I do not believe that certain individuals must be privileged enough to get tax exemptions, whilst others doing the same should not be given the opportunity to get tax exemption. And I have contended in the past that if the government insists on tax exemption for 1D1F, they should put it in the law and allow everyone else to benefit from such tax exemption. My main concern, particularly my criticism against the 1D1F, has to do with the opaque manner that it has been done in the past. And I still stand by that. If the government, or if this current government still believes that tax exemption 1D1F is irrelevant, then obviously my suggestion is put it in the law. Let everyone benefit from it. But don't pick and choose and decide who should benefit from such a tax exemption. I think it's wrong, and taxation must be fair.
You just heard the Minister of Finance designate, Dr. Atoforsen. Away from that, Canada is bracing for the potential imposition of 25% tariffs by the United States as political leaders vow to take robust action to protect the nation's economy. The tariffs threatened by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump could take effect shortly after his inauguration, targeting Canadian goods as part of his administration's push to address illegal immigration and drug smuggling. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau convened provincial and territorial leaders to develop a coordinated national response. The meeting highlighted the critical need for a united front to address the challenges posed by the potential tariffs, which economists warn could have a devastating impact on Canada, where approximately 75% of exports are destined for the U.S. Countermeasures are being prepared, including potential tariffs on U.S. goods and export restrictions, particularly in the energy sector. Additionally, Canada has pledged significant investment in border security to address U.S. concerns, with 1.3 billion Canadian dollars allocated for new security measures. Despite these efforts, divisions among Canadian leaders have surfaced. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith declined to endorse a joint statement from the meeting, emphasizing that Alberta would not support export tariffs or bans on energy product. Smith's stance underscores the complexity of leveraging Canada's energy export, which account for a significant portion of U.S. oil, natural gas, and electricity imports. As Trump's administration signals its commitment to trade tariffs as a cornerstone of its economic strategy, Canadian officials have argued that such measures could backfire, increasing inflation, raising costs for U.S. consumers, and potentially undermining national security. Away from that, the looming January 19 ban on TikTok in the United States has sparked widespread debate about the future of the popular video sharing platform and its 170 million American users. Unless the Supreme Court intervenes to halt the ban, as requested by its Chinese parent company ByteDance, the app could become unavailable due to concerns over national security. The U.S. government has argued that TikTok poses risk due to its potential links to the Chinese government. If the ban proceeds, app stores like Google Play and Apple's App Store will likely be ordered to remove TikTok, making it inaccessible for download in the U.S. Critics argue that determined users may bypass the ban by using virtual private networks to access TikTok or altering App Store regions. However, these workarounds come with legal and technical challenges, including potential breaches of terms of service and copyright laws. Experts warn that a ban on TikTok could have significant implications for the broader internet. Additionally, ByteDance's legal team has indicated that TikTok could go dark in the U.S. unless the Supreme Court rules in its favor, leaving millions of users without the platform they have grown accustomed to. The controversy has taken on a political dimension, with President-elect Donald Trump expressing opposition to the law. While Trump lacks the authority to overturn the legislation directly, he could instruct the Department of Justice not to enforce it, effectively neutralizing the ban. However, tech companies might remain hesitant to act against the law without explicit guarantees of immunity from penalties. From an economic perspective, a TikTok ban could create a significant opportunity for rival platforms. Analysts predict platforms like Meta-owned Instagram Reels and Google's YouTube Shorts will be the primary beneficiaries as displaced users, creators, and advertisers seek alternatives. A recap of the headlines, our top stories for today. One D1F program criticized for lack of transparency in tax exemptions. On the international scene, TikTok's fate hangs in the balance as Supreme Court weighs in. Also, Canada prepares for U.S. tariff threat amid internal divisions. And that's what we have for business news on Business Breakfast on Zed. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X, ZFMGH, and Zed Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. You can also visit www.zmultimedia.com for more. I am Samuela Inchi. Thanks for listening. Up next is Sports Flash with Lukeman Evergreen Moomin.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beacon, a 360 multimedia farmhouse emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value-oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Zed TV and the innovative realms of Zed Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the new Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
The stage is set for something special.
It is time to go racing.
Garnacho! Oh wow! Oh wow! LeBron James
like this. Here's Metzer, this is positive. Williams, Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudus.
Set back for Partey. Oh yes! Oh yes, Thomas Partey.
Hello, good morning. It's time for Sports Flash on Business Breakfast on Zed. My name is Lukman. Evergreen moment. Arsenal have the bragging rights in the North London derby. Again, they silenced their neighbours in the Premier League. Now to the north of England, Robin Amorim and Manchester United will hope to return to winning ways in the Premier League on Thursday evening. Barcelona are on a free scoring run. There was no upset in the Australian Open yesterday, but a new record has been set at the competition. We also have some results from the NBA games that were played last night. All right, we begin with news in the Ghana Premier League, and Accra House of Oak are on the verge of completing the signing of former Ashanti Gold midfielder Seth Osei on a 2.5-year deal. Although the deal is not officially confirmed, sources close to the club have revealed that Osei has completed his medical examination and is expected to put pen to paper today. Nsoatreman FC supporters sacked their head coach Yao Preku from the training grounds on 2 separate occasions this week as the future of the former Ghana international hangs in a balance. Now Preku, a former House of Oak and Mediama SC coach, was stopped from training by the club's angry supporters on Tuesday and followed it up with a similar act on Wednesday morning at the Nana Amwa Kurumasa Park in Tema. And Accra House of Oak have reached an agreement with Dreams FC for the loan transfer of winger Yao Amankwa Beifi. Now the deal will see the talented attacker join Dreams FC until the end of the season. Amankwa Beifi, who had 2 options on the table, ultimately decided to move to Dreams FC, citing his strong relationship with their head coach Karim Zito as the key factor for his decision. Away from the domestic league, 2 Ghanaian players abroad and winger Ibrahim Osman scored for Feyenoord in the KNVB Cup game against Regensburg as the Dutch Giants progressed to the quarterfinals of the competition. Osman has been out for a while due to injury but has now fully recovered for the rest of the campaign. And in Italy, AS Regina have secured the services of promising midfielder Justin Kumi on loan from US Sassuolo until the end of the season. Born in 2004 in Italy, Kumi is of Ghanaian descent and has showcased immense potential throughout his young career. Antoine Semenyo is determined to help AFC Bournemouth secure a victory in their upcoming Premier League game against Newcastle United this Saturday. Semenyo has been a key player in the attack of Bournemouth, showcasing his talent in the recent game against Chelsea. Remember, he scored and also created another in that thrilling encounter at the Stamford Bridge. Now, talking about the English Premier League, there were some results from yesterday's games. David Moyes' return to Everton was ruined by Oli Watkins' second-half winning goal for Aston Villa in the Premier League. Now, Villa manager Unai Emery reacted to that result as the UCL campaigners returned to winning ways in that competition.
Well, fantastic. Really very happy. The supporters, they were here supporting us as well. And when we have broken the bad spell we had the last match we played away. And of course, today was, in my mind, was a very important match to try to break it and get confidence. Of course, to win away always is difficult. Here is difficult, but we compete very well. Even the first half better than the second half, but we scored the second half, and we defend very well after their goal. And the clean sheet was very important and was in our mind as well. But very strong objective today.
That was Aston Villa's Unai Emery speaking after the 1-0 victory over Everton. Now, a clinical display from Crystal Palace inflicted a 6th straight Premier League defeat on Leicester City and increased pressure on manager Ruud van Nistelrooy. Jean-Michel Arteta and Mark Gahey scored in the second half for the Eagles. Alexander Isak continued his superb form with 2 goals and an assist as Newcastle United equaled their club record for 9 straight wins in all competitions with victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now their manager Eddie Howe had this to say.
Tough game today and everything that we probably thought it would be. A very good opponent, new manager in place, new style of play. I thought they made it difficult for us in the first half. They were quite deep in their defending, packed everyone behind the ball, and we had a lot of the ball, and we had to be really patient and show our quality to eventually break that down. Yeah, I mean, I get the headlines, and rightly so, because I think it's an incredible run, incredible feat, and delighted for him. I know his teammates will be delighted for him as well. I thought the second goal was the pick today because, of course, the first one's got a bit of a deflection on it. I think we can say that, but the second one, it looks an easy finish, but he's so calm and composed, and he has that extra split second to pick his spot. And, it was a massive goal for us actually because we needed that second goal. It was a game that was evenly balanced.
Well, that was Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe speaking there. Now, Arsenal came from behind to beat Tottenham by 2-1 and secure the North London derby bragging rights. Now, tonight, Ipswich Town will be hosting Brighton, while Manchester United welcome Southampton to Old Trafford. Now, Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim hopes to build on his side's recent performances.
I think we... Of course, this is, you feel the pressure of the club, but in this moment, I think I don't feel that pressure because in the last years we didn't won the league, and you can understand if you follow this club in the past, if you don't win one year the league, you must win in the next year. I don't feel that pressure. We have to bring that pressure to us because outside the fans are amazing. I don't read what you wrote, guys, so I don't feel that pressure. I just want to win and to feel that pressure in the future. We need to win. We need to win titles and we need to win games. In this moment, we just have to win games.
Yeah, that was Ruben Amorim of Manchester United speaking ahead of their game against Southampton tonight in the English Premier League. Away from England, we move to Spain, where Barcelona backed up their Super Cup performance by thrashing Real Betis to cruise into the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey. Teenager Lamine Yamal scored 1 and assisted another as Barcelona netted 5 goals for the second consecutive game, having beaten rivals Real Madrid 5-2 in Saudi Arabia on Sunday. They won that game against Real Betis by 5-1. Now, Atletico Madrid also thumped Elche by 4-0, and Leganés and Getafe also defeated Almeria and Pontevedra to all progress to the Spanish Cup quarterfinals. In Italy, Inter Milan stumbled in the Serie A title race as they were held to a battling draw at home by mid-table Bologna. The results meant the defending champions failed to go within a point of leaders Napoli. Although Inter now have 3 points, are now 3 points behind the leaders, they do have a game in hand. And in Germany, Hurricane scored 1 and assisted another as Bayern Munich thrashed Hoffenheim to restore their 4-point lead at the top of the Bundesliga table. And in transfer news, Leicester City have signed French fullback Wayo Koulibaly from Parma for a reported fee of £3 million. Koulibaly has signed a 4.5-year deal after agreement was reached with the Italian club subject to international clearance. Ipswich Town have completed the signing of winger Jadon Philogene from Aston Villa for a fee in the region of £20 million. Philogene has spent a 4.5-year contract at Portman Road. And in the Australian Open, Novak Djokovic surpassed Roger Federer's record for the most single matches played as he reached the Australian Open third round. The 37-year-old was made to work in his 430th Grand Slam singles match, but he emerged triumphant, beating qualifier Jamie Faria 6-1, 6-7, 6-3, 6-2. Emma Raducanu also reached the Australian Open third round for the first time in her career with a dogged victory over American opponent Amanda Anisimova. And Iga Swiatek also defeated Rebecca Shramkova 6-love, 6-1 to also reach the third round of the competition. And two results from the NBA games that were played last night. The Memphis Grizzlies defeated the San Antonio Spurs 1-2, 9-2, 1-1-5. The Milwaukee Bucks were also victors over the Orlando Magic. The Dallas Mavericks lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. The Atlanta Hawks continued their fine run with a 110 to 94 victory over the Chicago Bulls. The Denver Nuggets lost to the Houston Rockets, and the Charlotte Hornets they defeated the Utah Jazz, with LA Lakers led by LeBron James defeating the Miami Heat by 117 to 108. Now the Minnesota Timberwolves lost by just a point to the Golden State Warriors, and the Brooklyn Nets, they were thumped by the LA Clippers after Clippers defeated them by 126 to just 67. That will be all for sports this morning. Business Breakfast on Zed continues with Raphael.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
1, 2, 3!
Dive into a world of exhilarating fun, refreshing thrills, and endless splashes at the Marina Water Park inside Lakeside. With a wide array of water attractions, you are guaranteed an unforgettable experience for the whole family. Open Saturdays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Call 0508 598 948 or 0204 775 044. Follow us on all socials at Lakeside Marina Park. Marina Water Park. Love the experience.
So fun!
First Sky Group, a wholly owned Guinean company made up of First Sky Construction, First Sky Bitumen Processing, First Sky Commodities, Volta Serene Hotel, Western Serene Atlantic Hotel, Serene Insurance, First Sky Energies, and Federal Rural Bank warmly invites you to its 22nd Thanksgiving service on the theme Proclaiming God's Unfailing Love, Romans 8:37. The Thanksgiving service in two parts will be hosted by the founder and executive chairman, Mr. Eric Sedi Kutoche. There'll be an all-night service on Friday, 17th January 2025 from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the Trinity Temple Assemblies of God Church, TTAG Community 10, Tema. Ministering in word, Reverend Mark Sessi, National Missions Director, Assemblies of God, Sierra Leone. Reverend Sujit Alex, FAM's North Area Leader, Assemblies of God, UK. Thanksgiving service follows on Sunday, 19th January 2025 at the main auditorium of the Accra International Conference Center. The time is 10 a.m. Guest speaker, Reverend Stephen Yansum Wingham, General Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Ghana. Chairman for the occasion, Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabena Asamoah Jedu, the presiding bishop, the Methodist Church Ghana. Ministering in music will be MOG Music. Also in attendance will be His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso, immediate past General Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Apostle General Sam Kwanchi Ankara, Royal House Chapel International, Reverend Steve Mensah, Charismatic Evangelistic Ministry, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Boafo, Apostle Professor Kwejo Opoku Onina, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, Reverend Dr. Sylvanus Amegashiti, Elam Group Corporate Chaplain, First Sky Group, and many other senior clergy. For more details, please call 020-854-3441 or 0248-940-021. First Sky Group 22nd Thanksgiving Service, proclaiming God's unfailing love.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
God, thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, If I take the blame, put it all on me, I just pray that I won't end up lonely. This world will drive you real crazy and out of control. Make you wanna pull out and let them shots go. Had to just chill out, 'cause I don't wanna stop. Losing homies really hurting my soul. Matter how rough that road, far you go, take it easy and live life slow. Through all the highs and lows, stay 10 toes down like you're digging for gold. God, thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, And thank you for this life, sorry I complain. The ups and the downs is just a part of the game. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, Ride through the city, just reflecting on me. While they hating, I'm just keeping it cool. I ain't even tripping, long as money keep flipping and them sticking to me like glue. Before the carjack, I couldn't hit that. I pulled the Akon, she let me smack that. Yeah, I was down bad, then I bounced back. I took a wrong turn, ended up on the right track. No matter how rough that road, far you go, take it easy and live life slow. Through all the highs and lows, stay 10 toes down like you're digging for gold. God, thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, And thank you for this life, sorry I complain. The ups and the downs is just a part of the game. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, God, thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day,
Well, you're still tuned in to Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. With me, Raphael Nitrebi Hammond. Now, just gone by was the business news with Samuela Enchi, and then Abdul Lukman Evergreen Mumin came your way with the sports flash. Now, this morning, very soon, we're going to go into Business Brief. Now, Business Brief is a segment where I get to share a brief business tip with you, something that will help your business move forward. And so stay tuned with me. In the next minute, I'm coming your way with that. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Well, if you just tune in one more time, this is Business Brief on Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Raphael Nichebi Hammond. Now, today I'm going to share with you a very, very important tip that you need to know. Now, let's take a trip back to the 1990s. There was a company called Enron. Now, for those of you who have been around for a long time, you probably might have heard this company. At the time, Enron was a talk of business. I mean, it was a talk of the business world. It was a company that everyone wanted to work for. At the time, it was an energy giant, innovating and dominating. And even it was listed as one of the 100 best companies to work for at the time. Then, maybe prior to 2000s, it was the most admired company in the world. Now, the company had a reputation for innovation, for high salaries, and dynamic work culture, which helped it secure a place on this prestigious list that I've mentioned. But behind all the glamour and applause was a ticking time bomb fueled by greed and bad decisions. One of their biggest missteps was tax evasion. Enron wasn't just avoiding taxes, they were practically rewriting the rules. They created thousands of shell companies and offshore entities, and they were hiding profits and making it look like they were drowning in debt. Now, on paper, Enron was a financial superstar, but behind the scenes, they were cheating the system. Enron avoided paying millions of taxes. They were parking profits in tax havens and moving losses to their main books. For those of you who are into the accounting space, you probably might understand this. Now, of course, it seemed like a brilliant strategy, but here's the thing about cutting corners. It eventually catches up with you. So it all fell apart in 2001 when journalists, whistleblowers, and regulators exposed what Enron was up to. They were the fraud, the deception, and the tax evasion, of course. Now, that year, Enron filed a bankruptcy, marking one of the largest corporate collapses in the U.S. history. Now, what followed after this? There were, of course, massive job losses. Thousands of employees woke up to find out that they had no jobs, no savings, because their pensions were tied to Enron's worthless stock. Imagine working for years and walking away with nothing. But that was the state of employees of Enron. There are top bosses like CEO Jeffrey Skilling. He faced serious charges, went to prison and all of that. There were also a financial disaster. Creditors and the IRS came knocking. Enron was hit with billions of fines and its reputation was destroyed. This wasn't just Enron's problem. It shook the entire corporate world, forcing companies to rethink how they even operate. Now, what's a big lesson in this? Trying to outsmart the system doesn't pay. And I think we need to know that. Trying to outsmart the system, it doesn't pay. Taxes aren't just another expense. They are a business's responsibility to society. You can't build lasting success on lies and shortcuts. Well, let me put it this way. If you are not paying taxes, you are borrowing time. And when the bill comes, it is bigger than you ever imagined. I think I should repeat that. If you are not paying taxes, you are borrowing time. And when the bill comes, it's bigger than you ever imagined. Now, why does this matter to us today? In 2025, governments aren't playing, and we all need to know that. There's AI, there are digital audits and all of that, which are spotting irregularities faster than we ever thought. And so the excuses that worked 20 years ago won't fly anymore. So what's the key takeaway from this? Transparency wins. If your books are clean, you've got nothing to hide. And shortcuts cost more. What looks like saving today can bankrupt you tomorrow. And customers, partners, and even regulators respect businesses that play by the rules. So we are living in a time when trust is everything. Whether you're running a startup, a multinational, you can't afford to risk your reputation. So let this story about Enron be a reminder to you. Just do things the right way or risk losing it all. And that's why today we're going to have a conversation on taxes and taxation We're going to have a tax consultant come through through our studios this morning to have a conversation with me on that. And you don't want to miss that. So please, make sure you do the right thing when it comes to taxes. Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Or probably you'll be risking losing it all. And that will be all for Business Brief this morning here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. 101.9 FM with me, Raphael Nichwe-Bihamon. Up next, we're going to give you all the details as to which routes to use this morning that are less with less traffic, with routes to use that have traffic and all of that. You need to know all of that to make informed decision about your movement this morning. And joining me is Solomon Nati Tete, who is going to bring us the transport news. And that's Transport Today. Stay tuned.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Well, just before Solomon comes in with the Transport Today, you can join us via Facebook, X, and Instagram. We are at ZFMGH, and then on YouTube and TikTok, we are Z Multimedia. Now, you can also text us. If wherever you are, there's some traffic there, you could just text us and let us know. Just keep us informed on 0544 321019. 0544-321019. You can WhatsApp us, or you can even call us and just update us on wherever you find yourself and the traffic situation in those areas. Solomon, good morning. How are you? Right, so Solomon is seated with me already, and we're going to go into Transport Today.
This is the pre-boarding announcement for flight 3728.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hi, Solomon.
Yeah, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm very good.
We thank God.
Tell us what's happening.
All right. So yeah, I'll take you through the flight schedules.
Okay.
For today, the domestic ones: Accra to Kumasi, Accra to Takoradi,
sure,
and then Accra to Tamale. So I'm starting with Passion Air, Accra to Kumasi. We have 6 flights available today.
Okay.
And then the first flight takes off 6:20 a.m. and then we'll arrive at Kumasi at 7 o'clock a.m.
All right.
And then second flight takes off. Before that, it takes off from Kumasi 7:30 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 8:10 a.m.
Okay.
The second flight takes off in Accra at 8:50 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 9:30 a.m.
Right.
And then return from Kumasi. It takes off at Kumasi around 10 o'clock a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 10:40 a.m. Then third flight takes off at 11:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 12 o'clock p.m.
Right.
Then takes off in Kumasi at 12:30 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 1:10 p.m. Fourth flight takes off 1:50 p.m. in Accra and arrives in Kumasi at 2:30 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 3 o'clock p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 3:40 p.m.
Okay.
Then the fifth flight takes off in Accra at 4:20 p.m. and arrives in Kumasi at 5 o'clock p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 5:30 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 6:10 p.m. Then the last flight takes off in Accra at 7:20 p.m. then arrives in Kumasi at 8:10 p.m.
Right.
And then takes off in Kumasi 8:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9:20 p.m. So that is Passion Air from Accra to Kumasi.
Okay.
Yeah. So Accra to Takoradi, Passion Air. First flight takes off 6:20 a.m. and arrives in Takoradi at 7:10 a.m. Then takes off in Takoradi 7:40 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 8:30 a.m. And then second flight takes off 4:20 p.m. arrives in Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Takoradi at 5:40 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 6:30 p.m. So we have only 2 flights going to Takoradi today for Passion Air.
From Accra.
From Accra,
Okay.
yeah. And then Accra to Sunyani, we have 1 flight available. Yeah, it takes off 9:10 a.m.
Okay.
and then arrives in Sunyani at 10:10 a.m.
Right.
and then takes off in Sunyani at 10:40 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 11:40 a.m.
Okay.
We have also 1 flight available for Wa, Accra to Wa. It takes off in Accra at 9:50 a.m. and arrives in Wa at 11:30 a.m. and then takes off in Wa at 12 o'clock p.m. and then gets to Accra at 1:40 p.m.
Okay.
So that is Passion Air from Accra to Wa.
Okay.
So Accra to Tamale, we have 3 flights available today.
Okay.
First flight takes off 6 o'clock a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:20 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 7:50 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9:10 a.m. Then second flight takes off 12:20 p.m. and arrives in Tamale at 1:40 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 2:10 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 3:30 p.m. And then the last flight, that's Passion Air Accra to Tamale. It takes off at 4 o'clock p.m. from Accra and then arrives in Tamale at 5:20 p.m. Then takes off in Tamale at 5:50 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 7:10 p.m. So that is Passion Air today for the flight schedules. Let me take you to African World Airlines. African World Airlines. So Accra to Kumasi. Today we have 8 flights available from Accra to Kumasi. And first flight takes off 6:20 a.m. and arrives in Kumasi at 7 o'clock a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 7:30 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 8:10 a.m. And the second flight takes off 8:40 a.m. arrives in Kumasi 9:20 a.m. and it takes off in Kumasi 9:50 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 10:30 a.m. Third flight, it takes off 9:40 a.m. in Accra and arrives in Kumasi at 10:20 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 10:50 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 11:30 a.m. And then fourth flight takes off 11 o'clock a.m. in Accra and then gets to Kumasi at 11:40 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 12:10 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 12:50 p.m. And then fifth flight takes off 1:20 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi 2 o'clock p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 2:30 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 3:10 p.m. And then sixth flight takes off 2:10 p.m. in Accra and arrives in Kumasi at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 3:20 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 4 o'clock p.m. And then the seventh flight. So this, I think for a while now, this is the first time we are having 8 flights from Accra to Kumasi for African World Airlines. So I think the demand is very high.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very high. So
so if you're listening to us and you want to fly to Kumasi from Accra, then you may want to, as soon as possible, check and book the one that suits your schedule.
So seventh flight takes off 3:10 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 3:50 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 4:20 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 5 o'clock p.m. And then the last flight, Accra to Kumasi, African World Airlines, takes off 7 o'clock p.m. and arrives in Kumasi at 7:40 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 8:10 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 8:50 p.m. So that is African World Airlines from Accra to Kumasi. And then Accra to Takoradi, we have 3 flights available today. First flight takes off 7:10 a.m. and arrives in Takoradi at 7:50 a.m. and then takes off in Takoradi 8:20 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9 o'clock a.m. And so that is the flight available. And then second flight takes off 12 o'clock p.m. and arrives in Takoradi at 2:40 p.m. and then return from Takoradi. It takes off in Takoradi at 1:10 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 1:50 p.m. and then the last flight takes off 4:30 p.m. and arrives in Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Takoradi 5:40 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 6:20 p.m. Right. Now Accra to Tamale. Accra to Tamale. 4 flights are available today.
Okay.
Yeah. So first flight takes off 6:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:30 a.m. So it's 1 hour journey. And then takes off in Tamale 8 o'clock a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9 o'clock a.m. Second flight takes off 9:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 10:30 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale 11 o'clock a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 12 o'clock p.m. And then third flight takes off 12:30 p.m. and arrives in Tamale at 1:30 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale 2 o'clock p.m. and arrives in Accra at 3 o'clock p.m. And then the last flight for African World Airlines, Accra to Tamale, it takes off 3:30 p.m. and arrives in Tamale at 4:30 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale 5 o'clock p.m. and arrives in Accra at 6 o'clock p.m. So that is all for the flight schedules.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us what's happening on our streets.
All right. So traffic check. Currently, North Jolu. There's a massive traffic over there, North Jolu, when you're coming from Achimota all the way to Spanner. Right. There's a traffic there, especially around Fiesta Royal Hotel. Yeah, there's a traffic over there.
I think it's becoming a very regular thing.
Yes. And also Kwabenya Senior High School to Hacho. There's also a traffic over there. The Atomic Road. I don't know if you are familiar with that road. There's also traffic over there from Kwabenya to Hacho. So if you are also using that route, you need to be aware of that. And then Shiashi to Spanner. That is, I think, it's becoming norm. So there's also traffic over there from Shiashi to Spanner, and also Adenta Dodua Road. There's traffic there from Frafraha to Adenta Barrier. There's also a massive traffic over there that we need to be aware of that. Yeah.
So where are the alternative routes?
Well, some of the routes, especially from North Jolu, when you are after the Fiesta Royal Hotel, I don't think you have any alternative unless you use it. You find your way out. Maybe you call your boss, as you said the last time, and then inform him that this is the situation. So he needs to, party. Yeah. So that is traffic in town today. And there are some good news in the aviation news,
Right.
Yeah. So airline operations in Ghana set for significant growth in 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. So we are going to see a significant growth in the airline space in Ghana.
That's some good news.
Yeah, it's good news. So Ghana's aviation landscape is poised for significant enhancement in 2025, with Turkish Airlines and Qatar Airways increasing their flight frequencies.
Right.
So now Turkish Airlines are going to increase their flight frequencies. At first, they used to do 10 in a week, and now it's increasing to 12 in a week. Yeah, and this is due to high demand.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why this increment has come in.
Right.
And also starting from July 2025, passengers traveling from Accra to Kumasi, Tamale and Takoradi will benefit from expanded options with introduction of Relax Airlines. So we are now, Ghana Aviation is now introducing a new airlines for the domestic.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are going to get Relax Airlines. Yeah, which they are going to operate domestically in Ghana.
From when?
So from July 2025.
July. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So according to Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, the airline is undergoing inspections on its training and maintenance facilities, and it will start operating from July 2025.
Wow.
And also we have another one, Panaf Air. They're also going to operate domestically in Accra, in Ghana. I mean, yeah. So we have two airlines. Adding up to Passion Air and then African World Airlines.
The
so that is the good news.
The market is going to be very tight.
Yeah. As usual.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and also as key airlines, the Pan African Airline has marked its 15th anniversary.
Okay.
So in 2024, they received the best airline in West Africa. And the good news is that now from some time now, or I think from next month, from next month, they are going to give discount to people that are going to take that flight because due to the anniversary that they are celebrating. So that is all for the news in the aviation sector. Yes,
wow. Solomon, thank you very much for bringing us all the details on our Transport Today segment. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. All right. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. Just gone by as the Transport Today segment where you got to know all the flight schedules in town and how the traffic situation looks like in several locations. So we're going to go into our next segment very soon. That is market trends. We're going to tell you all that you need to know in the market. We'll be talking a bit about debt, the global debt, and then some other things that are very important and pertinent to you as an individual or as a business. Please stay tuned.
Them say life is sweeter than, but you for make you know the rush and blow your meter on. Just get your hustle on, then be fly you day for land. Use your head and use your hand. Don't you envy brother man? After all we all be one. No hey, don't keep doing what you doing and don't watch nobody. Now who you for listen to? Be Baba God. Mankind go give you story, but in the end they go leave you lonely. So make your own story, yeah. Wallahi, baby, I'm a through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder, yeah. Wallahi, baby, I'm a through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder.
Winners don't quit, cause quitters don't win. God forgive us, save us from sin. Bless us with success in a couple of things and protect us. We all know the trouble it brings. West won't break us, West will make us. West will take us with some fear haters. Yeah, cause we got game like the Lakers. I spit raw naked. I think life is like the video and whiskey. We're from the ghetto, the for a rich kid. By the boat running your game artistics. When you dream big like the big sis. M.O.B. money over M.O.B. money over bridges. M.O.B. McDonald's over Burger King and spend the rest of your life trying to lose digits. Okay. Bosses they chill with a drink rosé, like play with a drink J3. Life is short like May. Weather, bring the storm with me. Weather, cause we got cheese, mo, cheddar, R2B, so beer and get that, Dano, beer and get that.
Wallahi, baby, I'm through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder. Yeah, wallahi, baby, I'm through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder. Yeah, me I they do my thing. Me I know they do like them. Them in the rush, where are the cool like wind. Them in the cool, where are the hot like gin. I go cross the line, I go win. I go bend bad mind from within. Tell them say we just get begin. R2B's with a new religion. Whoa, yeah. So keep doing what you're doing and don't watch nobody. Now who you for listen to? Baba God, yeah. Mankind go give you story, but in the end they go leave you lonely. So make your own story, yeah. One life, baby, I'm a through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder. Yeah, one life, baby, I'm a through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder. Yeah, one life, baby, I'm a through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder. Yeah, one life, baby, I'm a through the bankoma. I keep moving on, I'm a soldier. I never lose the title, I'm a holder. Yeah.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Well, you're still tuning to Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Raphael Nitrebi Hammond. As I indicated a few minutes ago, very soon we're going to have a conversation around the global debt situation. But you can join the conversation. You can join the conversation on WhatsApp on 0544 321019. 0544 321019. You can as well call us on the same number 0544 321019. And you can follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Instagram, Facebook, X at ZFMGH. And then on TikTok and YouTube, we are Z Multimedia. You could also visit our website at www.zmultimedia.com. Very soon, Emmanuel will join me in studio, and then we can talk about the market trends. But enjoy this spot of music. We'll be right back.
So if you dey wonder how I do my thing, it be my God. No money, how me here while it be my God. So when you see me rolling on your block, it be my God. Like a sickly woman, coco, in my God. I never dey wonder, never worry. My baba dey my body. I never dey holler for my money, I call on my God. I never dey wonder, never worry. My baba dey my body. I never dey holler for my money, I call on my God. My people, let me hear you say, waiting no be coco for my God. Be coco, be coco, be coco, eh. Wahala be coco for my God. My people, let me hear you say, waiting no be coco for my God. Be coco, be coco, be coco, eh. No matter be coco for my God. I go dey shocky for my God. I soto for my God. I go shokoto for my God. Shocky for my God, I soto for my God, I go shokoto for my God. When I'm shopping, there's nothing I no go fee afford. See me rocking my Balenciaga for my God, and by His grace, there's no girl go fee run. Be on a beat and I dedicate it to my God. Hey, I feel His goodness and His mercy from New York to New Jersey. No matter what I they want, I they get it from my God. I feel His goodness and His mercy from New York to New Jersey. No matter what I they want, I they get it from my God. My people, let me hear you say, be coco, be coco, be coco, eh. Wahala be coco for my God. My people, let me hear you say, be coco for my God. Be coco, be coco, be coco, eh. No matter be coco for my God. be cocoa for my God. Wanna beat you, Nunu. Waiting no be cocoa for my God. Love you, matter be cocoa for my God.
Well, you're still tuned into Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. It's exactly a minute past the hour 8. And this morning, I just want to give you some updates on a few things before we get into the global and the local market trends. First Sky Group's 22nd anniversary celebrations will now be held on the 17th January 2025 and 19th January 2025, respectively. Now, on Friday, the 17th of January, there will be an all-night from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the Trinity Temple Assemblies of God Church, TTAG Community 10 Tema. Ministry in Word, Reverend Mark Sessi, the National Missions Director, Assemblies of God Sierra Leone, and Reverend Sujit Alex, Thames North Area Leader, Assemblies of God UK. And then on Sunday, January 19th, there will be a special anniversary and Thanksgiving service at the main auditorium of the Accra International Conference Center at 10 a.m. The guest speaker is Reverend Stephen Yenusom Wingam, General Superintendent, Assemblies of God Ghana, Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabena Asamoah-Gyedu, Presiding Bishop, the Methodist Church Ghana, will be the chairman for the occasion. And then ministry in songs will be our very own MOG Music and others. Now, for more details, you can contact them on 020-854-3441. 020-854-3441 or 0248-940-021. 0248-940-021. And also, Ghana's biggest water park is now here. The Marina Water Park is a new water and adventurous water park for fun and leisure. It boasts of all the amazing water sports anyone can dream of, from adults to children. Now, this new aquatic experience promises nothing but premium fun with the diverse attractions. It is located at Lakeside Marina Park and opens every weekday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays and 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays and 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. And we are also open on public holidays. Now, bookings are available for schools, churches, and corporate institutions who wish to have a team bonding moment and a great time. You can call them on 020-477-5044, 020-477-5044, or 0508-598-948, 0508-598-948. You can also follow them on their social media platforms at Lakeside Marina Park, or visit www.lakesidemarinapark.com. It's a marina water park. You can visit them. Now, up next, it's market trends, and I have in studio with me Emmanuel Boateng, our economic contributor, and we're going to have a conversation right away. So let's get into that. Emmanuel, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, today I'm happy to have you in studio. For the past few days, you join us over the phone lines.
Yeah.
Right. Great. So what are we looking at? I know we're going to talk a bit about debt, but maybe you may want to talk about something before we get into that.
Oh, no. We promised our listeners to talk about that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yesterday we couldn't do that. So I was of the opinion that we get into that just to honor our promise. And most importantly, because it's also an interesting and insightful subject matter for the private sector and our economy as a whole.
Right. So I think we started a conversation around the statistics on the global debt report.
Yeah.
Maybe we could run through that a little, then we get into, we zero down to Ghana. Yeah. So maybe you can just tell us, what is it all about before we get into the breakdown for Ghana?
Oh, okay. So the debt report is released by the World Bank, and this debt report relates to the end of the 2023 fiscal year.
Right.
And so the report is for that period.
Okay.
And the last time we met, we were speaking into the issue on the low and middle income countries, and how they behave in terms of what contributes to their rising debt levels, where we looked at economic shocks being a key factor, because these countries are not up there yet. And so whenever there are economic shocks, they are impacted because, as we know, it shocks from one area spillovers to other parts of other countries within the entire global economic landscape. And then we spoke about elevated interest rates. We spoke about currency depreciation of those local economies. Ghana is a good example to use. And I remember the last time I said, if you, at the time you owed a certain country or a certain multilateral organization or private individuals, and the exchange rate was maybe 5 cedis to $1, but today it's about 10 or 15, that depreciation would directly manifest in the amount you owe now. You need more cedis to be able to pay off your debt than you would have needed some years ago. And so those are the things. We looked at the impact of the rising debt on these economies. We stressed on the fiscal constraints. You know, these governments will not have space because a chunk of their resources will be used for debt servicing and what have you. And I mentioned to you that debt servicing is an obligatory payment. And so it's not something you can choose and pick. No, you don't do that. You have to honor it. In fact, even in the annual report or the income statements of financial institutions, in line with international financial reporting standards and what have you, you would notice that companies first, you know, when you have your earnings before interest and taxes, you pay off your interest even before you come and pay your tax. The tax man will allow you because debt is a source of financing for organizations. It's the same thing for countries. Debt is a source of financing. And so businesses know. And so usually some businesses will go in for a lot of debt to finance the organization because it will not affect their bottom line profitability in terms of the interest payments that they make. And so you notice that more or less you get some tax savings on debt. And so a lot of businesses will go in for. In the case of government, yes, debt servicing is obligatory, so you ought to pay it. And once that is happening, you would have little space for other growth-enhancing spending or spending in the sectors of the economy that engineer growth for the country. Maybe another one will be debt distress, and that was the point Ghana got to. Debt distress, on debt unsustainability. You are not able to sustain your debt, and you get to a point where you may have to default on your debt. And we saw a similar case in Ghana where the government defaulted on its payments, on its bonds and all of that. And that brought in the IMF into town, and here we are today. And so it's an issue of debt and what it does for us.
Yeah, just before we go, we're going to talk a bit about how multilateral institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, and all of those organizations play in the economy, in the economies of lower middle income countries. But it was interesting to know that the US is I mean, their debt, they even have debt. And then, you know, over the past few years, I have thought that countries like the US don't owe anybody.
No, I told you they owe more than Ghana.
It's interesting when I found out that.
Oh, but maybe just on the lighter side. In what currency do they owe the debt?
All in dollars.
Who prints the dollars?
They do. So they owe, but they don't owe, eh?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm only asking a very hypothetical.
Because according to the stats, it ballooned, I mean, accounting to like 34.6% of the world's total government budget, which is I think is the highest on the global debt.
So I told you. So maybe let me take this opportunity. Something I wanted to say the last time I couldn't say. Debt in itself is not a bad thing.
Okay.
I don't know how our listeners will take it, but debt in itself is not a bad thing. Look at it this way. If you own a business, if you are the president of Ghana, and you can go and borrow money for a certain growth enhancing spending. Listen to my words or the phrase I use, growth enhancing spending. What that means is that you are investing that money somewhere that would be able to do what it has to do in terms of social amenities, in terms of all of that, and could yield growth to the economy. You know, our growth basket then will translate directly into the GDP. So if that is going to bring in some growth, in other words, you are going to earn some money from there, and you would be able to do that and pay off your debt within the specified period of time. I think you've done a good job.
Right.
So debt in itself is not bad. This is what happens. In good times, you enjoy.
Okay.
In normal times, everything is normal. But in bad times, you'll be exposed.
Right.
And so if your spending does not go to the growth enhancing sectors of the economy, you'll be exposed.
Okay.
Because if you go borrow money, let's bring it to normal life. If you go and borrow money for food,
it's a bad
exactly.
debt, eh?
If you go borrow money to finance your wedding,
it's also bad.
You've not done the right thing. But if you go borrow money to start a business, that will be able to yield returns to pay off that debt. You've done a good thing.
Okay.
In the end, you pay off the debt and you owe a business. I mean, you own a business. Something you wouldn't have been able to do without debt. So debt in itself is not a bad thing. I mean, it's not bad. And that's why countries, the taxes of countries is not able to deliver the projects they want to. And that is why external source of financing is important. Manifesting through foreign aid, foreign direct assistance, and all of that. And in fact, borrowing from the IMF and all of that. So they are not bad in themselves. They are meant to do something.
Okay.
And the government is expected to pay down on those debts. That is all. But if you don't know what it ought to be used for, then you'll be exposed.
Now, if I get you right, it means that eventually there should be some form of returns.
Yes.
Even if you borrow and you're spending on something. So for instance, what you just said, if I borrow and invest into my business, then I know that I'm going to get some returns and I'll be able to service my debt.
Yes.
Now, what is the plan for government, especially Ghana? You know, we borrow and then sometimes we are unable to service those debts.
Oh, we just had one case. Maybe before now, the earliest we can remember is the HIPIC period.
Right.
Yeah, but that is just the two scenarios that they are going to establish a segment, that they are going to establish a sinking fund.
Okay, what's that?
Oh, it's doing well. There's a lot of money in the economy.
What influences the good times and the bad times?
The management of the economy.